Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to our Tuesday evening space, you guys. Anything goes to business. Thank you so much, our loyal viewers and supporters, for being here with us tonight. My segment co-host, Joseph Stetter of the Celebrate Group. You ready to do this?
Let's rumble.
We want to give a special shout out to my baby girl and co-host from Thursday nights, Mirella Scalise, my baby girl, Felicia at home, and of course, Vortex from Dubai, who is here and hanging out and trying to get through all this insanity that's going on right now. Of course, a shout out to Frequency 5 FM and Maria and Joseph. Thank you guys so much. Joe, how you doing?
I'm awesome.
You know what? You're here. You're such a trooper. I'm here.
And we need to start the show off right. It's Father Gino's birthday, right?
Oh, yes. It is my dad's birthday today. He is 81 years young. And if you guys saw the picture today, he looks fantastic. He keeps so well. And not only that, but he is an amazing father. He's an amazing grandfather. He's an amazing man. And we do need to sing happy birthday to him. Now, again, I preface this by saying I'm not Julia.
Neither am I.
I'm not hitting those notes, but I think we can do something for my dad. What do you think? Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy and Gino. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
And many more. Woo! Happy birthday, Dad. Hope you're having a good night. We haven't even been able to get together as a family yet with all this frenzy that's going on.
It's a virtual celebration.
But it is. It's a virtual celebration. And you know what? I did see him today, and he's keeping in good spirits, and it's really good. You know what? Before we start the segment, I mean, obviously, we want to talk about what's on everyone's mind with the province of Ontario declaring a state of emergency. And, of course, a lot of people just really worried about a lot of different things. The first thing I wanted to say is I hope that everyone is staying safe. I hope everyone is staying relatively sane. I hope everyone is just staying calm. Know that there's a lot of love and support around us. And you know what? Stay tuned for my final thoughts tonight. They are very profound. I've had a few days and a week or two to really think about all of this that's going on globally and what it means to me in terms of how communities are coming together to support each other, and here we are. We're here. We're going to, try to sing. We're going to disseminate some information. We're going to have a conversation, maybe make you laugh, hopefully. And, it's not so much business as usual as it is that, we are just trying to get through everything with as much relative ease as we possibly can, Joe, yeah. What are your thoughts? How are you doing? How are you finding things? What's going on?
It's a reason to be more productive at home and get things done. So
what have you been doing? Cleaning the closets?
Well, packing, because we're moving in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
And kind of figuring life is going to come back to normal, so might as well get rid of the stuff that we don't need right now.
Yeah.
Working on the business in terms of recruiting, working on my automated online course to help people find jobs.
Yes. Yes.
Just basically being productive in terms of moving forward and not letting this hiccup, I'll call it, stop.
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing for sure that I have realized is that it's obviously forced people and forced situations to slow right down. Right? Mm-hmm. To slow right down. There is absolutely no choice. And I often ask the question, and we talk about it on our Tuesday night shows, we talk about it on our Thursday night shows, what's with all the rush all the time? And I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of speeding it up really quick and then becoming self-aware, slowing it down again, but that's just with the everyday course of life, right? All of a sudden when certain things hit like COVID-19 right now, you are just forced to slow down, but you're also forced to self-reflect on what's really, truly important,
Absolutely. And I think this is where you're going to see some interesting dynamics happening in the market in terms of jobs, in terms of transitions.
Yes. I want to talk about that. Thank you. I want to talk about that. Here you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be hit harder than the 2009-2010 recession in a sense that I think it will take, especially the small businesses, longer time to recuperate and come back to normalcy in terms of bringing back staff fully. My fear in part is that some of the large organizations that have the resources will look at ways to kind of automate and kind of, I'll use outsource as a kind of model even more.
Right.
Because then they can look at, okay, well, we don't need to pay payroll here. We can minimize it by having it through systemized or having it through third party, having outplacement. And I think there's going to be a drastic shift in how and what is being done. And I think with kind of people being at home for 3 weeks, I've mentioned in previous episodes that sadly 80 to 90% of people hate their job. So this is now an opportunity for them to go, okay, I'm home. I don't have the daily stresses. There's a lot of uncertainty of whether or not my employer is going to keep me around. They're going to have the resources, so might as well start the process of reaching out and connecting with people and seeing if there's available opportunities.
Right.
For companies that are being proactive of this too shall pass, and let's plan ahead as opposed to be reactive after things happen.
So I want to break it down, if we can, in about 3 or 4 parts,
Mm-hmm.
if that's okay. But I want to see, there's a few people, guys. I'm sorry, I got the phone, and I know there's a whole bunch of people that are watching, and I don't see everybody for some reason, but I'll definitely get to you guys. And you know how we always do. We do a watch party. We respond to everybody's comments. Let us know who's on. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what you guys are going through. How is this affecting you, your jobs, working remotely? If you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, what's going on there? How are you guys feeling about all this? How's it impacting you? Reach out, talk to us. If you have any questions for myself or Joe, we're here. So we got Jimmy watching. Hey, Jimmy, thank you so much for tuning in. We've got Addie Stetter. I wonder who that might be. The lovely Addie. How are you? I hope you're feeling good.
My queen. Exactly.
We've got Angela watching. She says hello. Hi, Angela. So nice to see you on here. How are you? We got Arlette watching. Hi, Arlette. How are you? How are you keeping? Hope everything is well. She says the way we work and the way think about how we can work will be modified going forward forever. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and here's where it's interesting because there's a lot of experts that have predicted it. So Timothy Ferriss, who's written several books, he loves the 4-hour theme. So his first book was The 4-Hour Workweek. And he talked about how he went from being an employee to requesting to have work from home Fridays, then
Right.
to request 2 days a week as long as he's being productive and producing results.
Right.
Google just went to a 4-day work week, and their productivity increased by 40%.
Right.
So what you're going to see, I think, based on Arlette's comment, is that there's going to be more awareness of how can we take care of the companies that understand the importance of their staff and keeping their staff will start implementing and being proactive on creating some level of work-life balance where there is a level of perks that aren't the norm, but the mental health, the well-being. You know, I just spoke to a construction company. They're like, yeah, we're installing nap pods in the office because, you know, even though we offer flexible time so that if you have kids, you can take your kids to school or to this and then come back afterwards and so forth. As long as work gets done and you're productive, we're happy, but we're also realizing that people have their highs and lows during the day. So we're installing nap pods similar to what Google has done for years and some of the big like Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they have all gone beyond in terms of creating a culture of, you know, people enjoying themselves, people being appreciated, people being respected. And I think this is going to create a shift because people are going to go, why am I killing myself for this? Like, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
In this situation, and again, I know right now everybody's in limbo waiting to see if the government's going to issue funding. Is it going to be EI? Is it going to be this? To what extent? To what level? Because, you know, we're not talking about a small percentage of the population needing this. We're talking about
The entire world.
The entire world. And there's going to be some level of creativity that needs to occur and come out of it.
Yeah.
You know, all of the leaders that are into spirituality, into mindfulness, into well-being, into, you know, gratitude in terms of just, okay, this is a test, but I'll come out stronger. And those that can kind of understand that and incorporate that into their business are going to skyrocket their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
The ones that are going to go back to status quo with little to no change,
Yeah.
with the exceptions of banking and insurance because they're too big to fail, as per the movie. Right.
I heard some banks are going to be shutting down or modified hours as well. But
Again, but this is what happened in the U.S. when
Yeah.
it crashed kind of a few years back, around 2009, 2010, where they basically went to the government and said, okay, we need a bailout. They got a bailout. The executives paid themselves a $50 million bonus. And then within 3 months, they went back to the government and said, we need another bailout. Because the automotive sector also got a bailout,
Right.
but they took the bailout and implemented new creative ideas to make sure that they turned the corner, kind of thing. Banks kind of we're too big. We're kind of government is involved with us.
They'll be okay.
They have to bail us, which
Yeah.
is why the second time there was a bailout in the U.S., there was kind of a mandatory these two banks now merge in order to create less of bad debt, less of bad decision.
Yeah.
But for sure, the small businesses, the mom and pop shops, those are the ones that are going to be hit the most.
I have to tell you, sorry, Joe. I have to tell you, like it is hurt. Well, it's hitting a lot of people, even in just our neighborhoods, right? I want to give a shout out to a couple of people, and then I want to get back to Joe. I've got some questions. I want to get his thoughts on a few things. Ryan Radin is watching. Hey, Ryan, how are you? I hope you've been well. We missed you last week when we celebrated our 50th show, but you were with us and in our thoughts. Gloria Bryan is watching. Hey, Gloria, how are you? How are you doing? How are you keeping? I hope you're doing well. Miss you, girl. Lena Bartolini is watching. Hey, lovely. How are you? So nice to see you on here. She says, good evening. I wanted to, before all of this, not all of this started, because this has been going on for like the last, 3 months with COVID-19. But before this, things got really, really serious. One of the things that Joe and I continue to talk about on this segment is just the overall state of the union with respect to unemployment, finding a job. How easy is it? How hard is it? When you lose a job, what happens? Trying to transition from one job to another. How difficult or how easy or how transparent is the job recruitment process, right? And I talked a couple of months ago and even last month about, applying to a few jobs that I've done them. I did them 10 years ago, and I can't even get a callback or an email or anything like this. And again, we got to thank those applicant tracking systems. I get it, but it's so frustrating when you know that you can do the job, whether you want the job or not, but you can't even get in front of someone to have a conversation. So 10, 20 years ago, even when people used to say it's not what you know, but who you know, it's because
It still is.
It's still, well, not only is it still, but it's more prevalent now than it ever was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but now, tonight, you guys, we're here. We want to obviously lighten up the way things are going and hopefully give you guys, some good conversation, some insights. If you missed us a few minutes ago, let us know who's on. Let us know how all of this is impacting you, how working remotely is impacting you, how you owning your own business and not getting the clients or the clients struggling as well. And everybody just kind of trying to figure out what their next steps are in terms of getting sources of income, right? Let's hear it. Let's hear how things are going, because it is quite serious out there. And Joe, I wanted to ask you in terms of like your thoughts, so we've got things the way that they were. And they weren't perfect. We know that. They were less than perfect, right?
Right.
Now we have, and I want to break it down in a couple of things. So number one, we've got a lot of companies who are mandating their employees, their workers, to work from home remotely, right? The whole thing is social distancing, not to get near each other. I get all of that, no problem. So people working from home. Then you've got all these shutdowns, right? The schools, kids at home. You've got all this stuff stopping. You've got the entertainment side of things, everything stopping. Okay. Then you've also got companies who before were looking for positions, right? Who may or may not be looking for those open positions now because of what's going on. And if they still continue to want them and to pursue the process in terms of interviewing, Now they're doing phone interviews. Obviously, they're not doing in-person interviews, but I have to venture to think that some of these positions are going to be on hold for the time being. Things are really, really changing. And then the third element of this, so we've got now workers working from home. You've got a lot of shutdowns. You've got small business owners who are all of a sudden realizing, I can't do events. Right? That's a big source of my income. I can't do events. I can't sell tickets. People are uncertain about futures. They're not spending money. They're not hiring me. Everything has changed. And then you've got the third component, which is, what does the state of the union look like? How does the coronavirus and everything that's going on, whether it be globally or across Canada or in Ontario or in Toronto, how does that impact the future of the job market? So I know it's a lot there, but we want to hear it. Want to hear it all.
Okay, so let's start with the fact that working from home. So a lot of companies have a matrix or log me in or something that's a portal where especially technology, accounting can be done remotely because files can be emailed or scanned and so forth. So for those, great, because they can still work. Is it still going to be as productive? I think we're too early in the stage to tell whether or not, but the reality is, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Google just went to a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Companies that understand allowing, even if it's a half a day on Friday to work from home, does statistically increase productivity because people feel like they take ownership of it because they have that as a luxury, as an item. So I think that this will prove on a larger scale that it's okay to allow flexibility on the work hours and things getting done because people will still get them done and they'll figure out ways to do them.
Right.
For the individuals that, parents are at home, kids are at home, but they don't necessarily have businesses, there's a lot of online resource like Upworks.com, Fiverr.com, where services can be offered. For example, drawing, singing, being somebody's best friends, prayers, whatever version. So like Fiverr.com and Upworks.com, the idea with Fiverr.com when it first came out was that it was similar to eBay, but for services. So everything starts at $5. And then if you want something done within 24 hours, you pay an extra $20. If you want, extra edits, you pay this and you pay this. And all of a sudden you can make $300-400 for a simple gig that kind of was supposed to be there. I have a friend that I know a few people, and I recommend this site to a lot of people who's British, and a lot of companies, especially female British accent, love that as their introduction message because it's something about the female British accent that's very soothing to the ear. So she made $4,000 in a matter of 2 months.
I have to learn the British accent. I'm gonna have to learn it.
But I mean, if you speak Italian, there's translation work, there is marketing work, there is teach somebody an instrument. There's so many things that whatever your talents and resources. So Upworks and Fiverr are two main. Then for people that are marketers or more creative, there's Creative Niche, there's 99 Designs. There's this where you can bid competitions to create those residual incomes. On Facebook, there's a lot of groups of, like, for example, stuffing envelopes for direct mail. Even though they pay minimum wage, they can. A lot of the pizza places, as long as you have a decent headphone, you can get a code to log in from your computer. They track the minute that you log in and the minute that you log off, but you can do the pizza delivery in terms of just process the orders.
Right.
And you can choose the hours that you're working.
And you can do that anywhere, remotely.
Anywhere, because as long as you have a headset to take the orders, they literally, there's a downloadable software that you click on, and it tracks that you've registered and that your headphone's on. You take orders, and then whenever you log off, the system knows you've worked, let's say, 5 hours. This is what we're paying you, but it's a level of being resourceful. Similarly, and this is where culturally, I think you see the differences. And for example, I went to Jamaica 3 years ago. In Jamaica, they don't believe in large debts. So when they're ready to buy a house, they usually save up money and they build a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom. And the neighborhood comes in to help, whether it's to help carry stuff, whether it's to help to build it. And then as you're ready to expand the house, you build a room at a time, for example, unless you have more cash flow.
Right.
But the whole neighborhood comes together. And so you're seeing for the first time, yes, at the beginning of this COVID-19 fear mongering, people kind of ran to every grocery store and bought toilet paper and bought Lysol.
I went to my mom's house. She's got so much.
Right.
Thank you, Mom.
And bought Lysol and bought hand sanitizer and Lysol wipes, hand sanitizers. And then people took advantage of the fact that people are scared.
Yes.
And sold it for significant profit, where, again, there's a level where community-based, there's like, okay, you don't have, let me share. Because, again, this is where the U.S., there's a show called Extreme Couponing. I like to call it organized hoarding, where, there's people that go, oh, I have 7,000 rolls of toilet paper and they were all free. And more power to you for spending 80 hours a week to get free groceries.
Yes.
But at 7,000 rolls of toilet paper for a 4-person family, how much time are you spending in the bathroom kind of thing, right? But there's a level where you see now that people are genuinely going, you know what? I have plenty. Let me help you.
Yes.
Let me share. There's a lot of, you know what, if you need prayers, if you need this, let's kind of,
people
come
checking
together.
in on each other.
Right.
Finally.
And there's a level of just like, even if it's far family or whatever, there is that level of camaraderie. And I think we need that. And I think because of that, there's a level where, we can create genius, because generally when you're most stressed, that's when you're most resourceful, because you're forced to not be lazy. You're forced to find other avenues.
So this is a good segue, Joe. I want to ask the question. Thank you, guys. Keep the comments coming. Lena says, Mirella and Joe, you are spot on. Awesome. Thank you so much. Kim Bassler is watching. Hey, Kim, how are you? Kim was on our segment last week. She did great talking about health and fitness and overall mindset. And also, Kim, shout out to you offering free workouts from home virtually, which is amazing. She's so fantastic. Like, the gyms are closing and people aren't getting the exercise, and the other thing is people are trying to eat healthy, but at the same time it's like you're making what you can find, and people are kind of forgetting about like the general sort of state of the union, and she's offering these things, and it's wonderful. Kim, way to go for that. Nicole Thornhill is watching. Thank you, Nicole. How are you doing? Hope you're staying safe. Hopefully everybody is staying safe. Renato's watching. Hey, Renato, thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to ask the question regarding that whole thing about things slowing down. I think that on the one hand, I think it's really, really good that people are just starting to slow down. I was feeling, whoa, like I can't even tell you. I've been talking about it very openly the last number of weeks. I've been feeling like I was on my way to burnout or on my way to something, because I was starting to feel anxious, and I was getting a lot of, it's just kind of like you're always in a rush. There's just never enough hours in the day, and doesn't matter how productive you are, you always want to be more. And it got to a point where
I think that's also an East Coast mentality.
An East Coast mentality.
I used to joke that when I moved to Vancouver, people used to ask me, what's the difference between Toronto and Vancouver? I said it can be summarized in one sentence. In Toronto, people live to work. In Vancouver, people work to live. So in Toronto, when your boss says, I need to come in for the weekend, the response is usually, for how long?
Right.
In Vancouver, if the boss says, I need to work on the weekend, the response is, are you crazy? It's the weekend. I don't work on the weekend.
Yeah, God forbid we say that here in Toronto.
Right. And I think there's a level where we need to take a step back and appreciate that, you know what? We're so busy, we forget to appreciate our family. We forget to appreciate our friends. We forget to
appreciate life, the moments, living. Right?
Right. And there's a level where, read a book. Even if it's catching up on TVs, it's just relax the mind a little bit.
Yes.
But there's ways that, it's like, okay, but normally I don't have time for this. Now I do. Let's, create arts and crafts, create something that you haven't done in a while. And all of a sudden it's like that you've always had that flicker of like creativity, inspiration that was in the background. Like,
Yeah.
I've had this book in my back of my head for 10 years.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
Well, you're at home for 3 weeks.
Read the book.
Write the book.
Or
even.
write the book. Oh,
Right?
yes, write the
Like,
book. Yeah.
Start painting, start singing, start learning a musical instrument, start learning a new language, whatever the case may be, to help kind of appreciate that you have this opportunity to kind of slow down.
And can I just say, guys, one thing that I know might seem like a real pain to do, but it's one of those tasks that you never really get a time to do, especially when you're implementing and executing, and you're strategizing, especially if you've got your own business, you're an entrepreneur, especially in marketing, branding, and you're creating, and you're always creating. But one thing I realize, and I've been spending a little bit of time every single day before, I never got to it because it was grinding. And now the last few days I've been trying to get to it a little bit every day, backing up files. Like, honestly. Yeah. So I've got probably 500 files on my desktop, and I've literally been trying to file coordinate them, archive them, and then backing them up on my Google Drive. Because I got to tell you, knock on wood, my laptop goes and all those files, and I don't got them. So I got to be do you know what I mean? But it's one of those things you don't have time for. It's like, cleaning out your closets. So it's just like you were saying, I think there's still a way to be, productive, but slowing it down is not a bad thing. I think this is a good break. What I wanted to ask you in terms of the job market, in terms of people going back to work, in terms of a lot of these companies, these chains, they've shut down operations, at least temporarily for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. What are your predictions in terms of when all of the dust, clears? What are your predictions? What's going to be the fallout, and what can we expect?
Again, I think it's going to be kind of both short and long. So I think in the short run, the big box retailers, when life kind of normalizes, can kind of go back to routine. The smaller ones will have to really evaluate how much, profits were lost, how much their cash flow is. Because at the end of the day, it's not like banks are going, you know what, you don't have to pay your bills. The world stopped.
That would be nice.
But the world stopped, but you still have to pay your mortgage. You still have to pay car payments. You still have to pay insurance. You still have to pay this. So it's not like, the world's coming to an end and the government's going, well, we're going to give everybody a break and your bill's away for this month.
What's the government? Do you think, what is the government going to do, if
anything? There will be
anything?
some sort of injection, whether or not it will be big enough to make it, because even on EI, the maximum that you can get is $560 a week. If somebody's making $100,000 a year, that's
that's a huge,
1/10,
of course,
of their monthly income.
Yeah.
So can the government afford to pay that in full? No. Can companies pay that in full? Probably not. So there will be a wave, in my opinion, like especially for the minimum wage jobs, where it will probably take 6 months or so to recover and to be able to get to the position of I'm really ready to be fully staffed. Even if there's, we're like, something like movies that are now shut down.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if in 3 weeks government goes, okay, you can go back to seeing movies and get out of the house a little bit, I'm sure there'll be a big wave, but most people Netflix anyhow. Most people kind of there.
Right,
So it won't, I don't see it being that drastic of, oh my God. The restaurants for sure, because people are like, oh yeah, I want to get out. And some people have their favorite restaurants.
Yeah.
So they'll ramp up very quickly. But small businesses that are mom and pop shops, it's going to take a while.
What about those folks? And listen, I mean, I think we can sort of fall into that category to a certain extent. Those folks that I mentioned it earlier, you guys that are suffering right now, that are relying on sources of income that aren't coming because a big source of their income is events. A big source of their income is, whatever it be, group coaching and programs and people that, waiting to get hired that have a group every single month that they know that they can count on. So a lot of times what's happening is people want to ramp up their social media efforts, their branding efforts, their, they want to be coached on certain things. But right now, with everything slowing down, it's a ripple effect, which means a lot of people are not hiring. A lot of people are not being hired. So the sources of income are not right there. But like you were saying, the bills still have to be paid. So what are
here's
your
where it's
thoughts?
going to happen. And here's what I think will happen. And, I'm going to be applying this to try and give people a break. As much as I respect coaches and how much they are at in terms of the value that they bring, at the end of the day, in order to boost the economy, in order to boost their business, you have to kind of make that decision of, do I want to be the high end and stick at, let's say, $5,000 price range, or can I do like a group coaching where I'm charging $1,000, for example, or I'm charging a smaller amount that most people will go, okay, this is
more reasonable.
At the end of the day, again, I think that something like this where people are at home, there's kind of an adage, and I don't remember it exactly, that says, the worst thing that can happen is to leave a mind to itself, to kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and because we automatically, by default, have been programmed since childhood to go to the negative. No, you shouldn't do this. No, this is bad. Like your boss calls you into the office. What's your first thought? Your first thought is not, oh, great, I'm getting a promotion. Your first thought is like, shit, what did I do? Kind of thing, right? So this is going to start happening, and mental health is going to be kind of impacted. So anything that will allow to kind of get over that hump of mental health,
I think it was already prevalent before.
But this time, in terms of like, we're talking about jobs. So I've mentioned a few times, I've had the pleasure of coaching and helping over 10,000 people to find employment.
Right.
And I have a 90% success rate of finding anybody employment in any field in under 3 months. A lot of them have been new immigrants with zero Canadian experience.
I am putting Joe to that test, by the way. He's got another 30 days, but he's doing pretty good. Okay, continue.
But then again, you also have to communicate more with me on what's going on.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? That's actually, we talked about it last month, but that's something definitely that's very important. We digressed for a minute, you guys, but it's kind of like any coach, right? You can bring the horse to the water, but then if the horse decides, water's not for me, there's not much more you can do, right?
Look, I think I've mentioned this in previous show, but I had a client that hired me to coach him from New Jersey. He's a product manager in kind of social media. Mm-hmm. I wrote his resume. I optimized his LinkedIn account. Within 2.5 weeks, Google, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter called him for interviews.
Only those four?
Only those four.
Small little dinky companies.
I know. Now, here's what happened. He would, like Google, for example, said, we need you to send us this documentation that proves that you know the technical.
Right.
He waited 2 weeks to send the documentation.
Okay.
And when he responded 2 weeks later, Google was like, we're sorry, we're done with you.
Why would you wait 2 weeks?
And he was like, I was busy. I had to do this. And then I was like, and then he basically, when I said, okay, but you still owe me payment, he goes, but you didn't deliver. I didn't get a job. I said, let me get this straight. I wrote your resume and LinkedIn profile. The 4 largest social media companies in the world interviewed you within 3 weeks. When you've been looking for nearly 8 months.
He waited 2 weeks to get back to them. How is that your fault?
Right,
I'm just curious.
But this is where people will lay blame for everything around them.
Yes.
What you're going to see is people go, well, you know what? COVID-19 now cost me my job. This cost me my job. At the end of the day, if you're good, if you're producing results, if you have made yourself invaluable to the organization, if they can't keep you in your current role, they will try to figure out ways to keep you by offering you a different role.
Right, that's right.
That happened to me when I was downsized from Fidelity Investments. My ego was so like, but I'm here, I don't want to go here, that I didn't hear or see the opportunity when they said, hey, can we switch you to another department? Because 1,000 people were getting downsized.
Okay.
So I got downsized,
Yeah,
but you know what?
yeah.
It was a blessing in disguise. Why? Because it allowed me to kind of expand the horizons of my experiences. It allowed me to kind of go, okay, I can't sit around and do nothing. So
Right.
I need to find a job. And this is where, in the conversation, most people, ironically enough, Mondays around noon, at work, log into Indeed or Recropolis or Career Builder and start looking for work. Companies track this, right? but it's Monday at noon.
Why Monday at noon?
Because Monday is usually, okay, I'm back at work, because 80 to 90% of people
Monday
hate their
is
job.
Like, oh my God, I'm back here. I'm
And
back here.
it's a mindset. So now people like are at home, and there's a level where, again, if you're going to write the same cookie cutter resume with the same generic, I know how to do this kind of information, you're going to get the same generic no response.
By the way, side note, if you get me an interview with Google, I promise I'll get back to them in the first 24 hours. I'm just saying. Hold that thought. I wanted to just say hello to Lorena, who's watching. Hey, Lorena, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Lena says, you rock, Mirella. Thank you so much. She says, you're such an amazing model for all women. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Tom Spano is watching. Hi, Tom. How are you? My new Facebook friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, guys. Listen, we know that a lot of people right now are dealing with a lot. The world as we know it, the routine as we know it, the day-to-day as we know it has changed, continues to dramatically change every single day. And you know what? We're here tonight, and we will continue to be here on Anything Goes. It's one of those things where what are people going to be doing except maybe watch some podcasts, some YouTube videos?
A lot of predictions are going to be that there's going to be a lot of December babies.
A lot of December babies, right. And listen, I probably, and I got, well, then again, but the other thing too is, and next week, Jermelyn Barnes is going to be on next Tuesday night, right? As part of our business segment. And interestingly enough, she's our relationship coach and talks about dating and marriage. And she's going to be talking very openly about, how the social distancing has impacted relationships or potential relationships and the lack of intimacy and so if people are with partners that know that they're good, hey, have fun. For the rest of us, well, what can I tell you? We're going to have to, I went to the grocery store today. I stocked up a whole bunch of stuff with me and my kids. We got some Netflix. We got our pillows. We got, we're relaxing. We're chilling. It's what we're going to do, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people are very social. A lot of people want to get out there. And that's what I want to talk to you about too, right? Like, it's not just about, fear for your job or fear of the unknown or fear of not getting paid or fear of, this and that. It's I think a lot of people are struggling with, this is such a big fundamental change. Everybody's going through change, right?
Look, change is going to happen in one way or another. So whether we kind of blame it on a virus in terms of the economy needs to change and shift, we blame it on, big box retailers shutting down and everybody kind of going online because the online world is
Amazon's they were hiring another 100,000 people apparently.
Correct, because
right?
they're getting demands like crazy right now in terms of people saying, hey, I'll work for Amazon because there's nothing else at the moment.
Longo's is hiring, just so you guys know. Okay, continue.
But again, it's a model where most people would rather be miserable somewhere and go, at least I know I have a job and pay my bills, than take that leap of faith of the grass is greener. There is opportunities for me. I'm damn good at what I do, and I need to put it out there. Right. And so there's a level where, again, and using my wife as an example, when we first started dating, she was working for a private kind of organization working with autistic kids. And they did an evaluation on her, and they were like, we're not going to renew you because you missed this little section, or they were over drastic on how they marked her.
Right.
And, she had the meltdown, and I'm like, you do realize you're dating one of the top career coaches in North America, right? And after she calmed down, I rewrote her resume.
That'd be Joseph Stetter of the Celebrate Group, in case anybody's, not sure. Continue.
Right. And on Sunday, she sent out 7 resumes. Monday, she was called for 3 interviews on Wednesday. She had 3 job offers that were more money and better opportunities than what she was afraid to leave.
Right.
So this is the reality with most people. Most people are so afraid to rock the boat, to be different than the norm. So there's a level where, okay, I got to do this because this is how it's done. And there's a fear of asking for a raise. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's not the right time.
It's never the right time.
It's busy
it's
right now.
Time.
It's, chaotic because we're working on this or we're working on that. But here's the thing. If you're going to ask for a raise, like especially when you're dealing with executives, it's not just, hey, I want a raise. If you come prepared and go, in writing, these are the things that I've contributed. This is how I've increased productivity. This is how I've made money, saved money, increased efficiency. This is how I go beyond the call of duty.
Yeah.
And here's the reality. If you give me a 5-10% raise or $5,000 to $10,000 raise, depending on your income, it's a principle for you. Like, you know, you're making 100, you want to be at 110,000 because that is the next level of success or whatever. That $10,000, barring right now everybody being at home, rarely breaks a company's bank.
Right.
Even if you're working minimum wage to ask for a dollar raise, for example, if you're that good, it shouldn't break the bank, right?
Well, I agree.
And if you're that lawyer or that this, every business has people that make a little bit more or make a little bit less doing the same role because they've done the extra. It's just a matter of how it's presented. And so there's an idea, and this is similar with job finding. If all you're going to do is blast out 1,000 resumes on Indeed, I've mentioned previous that the ATS have a less than 5% success rate of getting hired from them. So stop
getting a call or an email.
So stop wasting your time on the ATS and deal with agencies. Deal with the company directly. Follow up. Go there. Have the human factor. Do something unique. Like, you know, in my book, Canada, Congratulations, You're Hired, was easier than you thought, and USA, Congratulations, You're Hired, I have a section dedicated for outside-the-box ideas of people that got noticed. Like, I know someone that paid a window washer to basically glue the resume on the outside of the executive's office.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding you.
Did it work?
Did the whole window so that the executive can't miss it.
I'm afraid of heights. That ain't
not
gonna
you,
work
but
for
you
me.
hire a window washer to do that. I had somebody that bought a box of Krispy Kreme donuts and delivered it to the team.
Yes.
And the resume was at the bottom of the like top and bottom of the box. I know people that went to a fortune cookie company and had if you like these fortunes, imagine having me on your team. Here's my name and phone number.
And Joe, you know how I feel. You guys know how I feel about how the resume is only a piece, like it's a tool in the toolbox. It should not define your ability to do the job. People won't know unless they meet you. They're not going to meet you unless you pass those damn ATS systems. There's got to be a better way. However, we're going to talk about that in a second. I just want to get to a couple of folks here. Ryan says, hello, everyone. Sorry about my absence these past few. I have been very busy. Ryan, no worries at all. You're always in our thoughts, really. Thank you so much for tuning in. Addie says, so proud of you. Amazing information as always. Totally agree. She says, I knew he would mention me. Well, if he didn't mention you, I would have reminded him, Addie, but I knew he would too. Ryan says, hang on a second, you guys, give me a minute. He says, this current situation will open up a lot of opportunities if you know where to look. In times like this, we must know when to be the vulture and when to be the eagle in order to achieve success.
Well said, Ryan. And at the end of the day, it's about differentiation. What about you is unique or different? You know, I use because the anything goes, like dating. If somebody comes to a woman and says, hi, I'm high, I'm high, I'm high, can I get your number? What are his chances?
Less than zero.
Well, slim and none. The reason I say slim is because if you're physically attracted, you might give him a minute or two.
Less than zero, even if they come and articulate how they want your number, it's less than zero. But I digress.
But I'm saying this. If you come to a job and go, please, please, please give me a job. I'm really hardworking, which most people say on their resume or in the interview. Yes. One of two things will happen. One, they'll hire you pretty much at minimum wage because they know you're desperate.
Yes.
Or two, they won't hire you because they don't see the value that you bring. If you don't have the confidence in what you have and what you can produce, why should the employer do? It's no difference in dating. Like, I'm fascinated by psychology. Most studies on women say that the two things that most women look for in a guy are confidence and sense of humor, right? So it applies to everything else. Have the confidence that your skill sets are worth something. Have the confidence that you bring value.
And loyalty. Can I just say loyalty? But okay, continue.
But again, if loyalty is one of your skill sets, it's not just saying loyalty, because loyalty, although has a standard definition.
No, in dating, in significant other relationships.
But it's loyalty in work too.
Yes.
Right?
I
so
know.
Demonstrated by going, I was here for 5 years. I did this. I did overtime. I did this.
Yeah.
Because that will reiterate the thought.
Yeah.
Because it's not just enough to say, I'm loyal. Because everybody says that to a certain degree.
I think that it's important in terms of like the whole, code of conduct, work ethic, things like this, But I do want to say something, and then I want to continue the conversation, guys. So, guys, thank you for the comments. Let us know you're on. Hopefully, you're finding this hour to be very insightful and informative as always. Joe is a wealth of information. Before I forget, he is the Celebrate group. He can be found on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Connect with him. He's a professor. He's an educator. He's an author. He's a recruiter. He's almost a soon-to-be dad. He's lots of things. I wanted to just talk a little bit about. So last month, the month before, I said I was going to do a little bit of a science project, which I've been doing for a long time. And what I find really fascinating about my relationship in the job market and what Joe does is that I was in the corporate world a long time. I was a hiring manager. I was a boss. I was an employee. I was all these different levels. And of course, Joe helps people find jobs, but he also helps companies find good people. And so Joe has a lot of perspective from where he's coming from. I have a lot of insights and perspective from the multiple years that I lived in that world and still continue in terms of what I know. And then together we always seem to have some great conversations. So anyway, I decided that I was going to, I thank you to those folks that have been trying to get me out of corporate retirement, by the way. Never say never. You never know. I've been enjoying the entrepreneurial journey a lot. But again, with anything, there's pros and cons to everything. There's certainly pros and cons to startups and entrepreneurship, just like there's pros and cons in the in just having a regular, steady, full-time job. It's all about how you navigate. So anyway, I decided that I was going to update my resume, dust it off. I was going to send it off to a few companies, whether I could do the roles with my eyes closed, or I was too junior for them, or too senior for them, or I was just trying to test out a few models. And so anyway, after about maybe 25 days at it, I would say, I had quite a few companies view my resume. I had quite a few companies view my resume twice, which apparently is really good. I did have a few follow-up emails where we didn't have an actual phone conversation, but they asked me a whole series of questions, wanted to kind of get the lay of the land. I responded. Some of them resulted in, thank you so much. I want to, proceed to a phone interview. Some of them I haven't heard from yet, and that's okay. In the meantime, I've also had 3 phone interviews with different companies. Very exciting. Now, you got to remember, this hasn't happened in like 3 years because I started kind of my own journey 2 or 3 years ago. And so very interesting. But I'm excited about it. And one of the phone calls that I had today, they went through the standard interview questions, which is fine, right? I answered. What I really liked is this. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if they had asked, why did you leave said company? You're not supposed to say because your boss was an ass, or because the culture was toxic, or because they gave you no autonomy, or because the pay sucked, or because whatever the case may be. And all those things could actually be true. These days I feel like and Joe, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. There is a way to be politically correct, but still open and transparent, but respectful, right? So in other words, the recruiter asked me, the manager, asked me why I decided to, start my own consultancy, and why I left said company. And I was very politically correct, but I was also very, transparent. And what I said was that I left because I decided that I did want to try my own thing. I wanted to help small business owners and entrepreneurs. I felt that I could have, more impact, and I needed a break from the corporate world, right? Mm-hmm. And with so much change and so much uncertainty that, it was just a very volatile environment, and I had to make some choices, right? And I said it just like that. And you know what? She so appreciated that. She appreciated what I said. She appreciated the candor. And you know what she said? Nothing that I haven't heard already. Lots of it going on. So thank you. Next question.
Again, and this is where I was beginning of the conversation. I said this. Organizations that understand that mental health and work-life balance and corporate culture and social responsibility where people are actually engaged are not buzzwords. They're not just, we did this for the sake of the trend.
Right.
They're actually implementing ideas that says we want to honor our staff because they're understanding the real cost behind it. Like statistically speaking, right now there is 100. Like it costs a company on average $100,000 a month, if not more, to have one open position. Because when you calculate the amount of overtime, the amount of sick days, the amount of time to screen out the candidates, to reference them, to train them, and even when they train you, it's the basic to get you up and running. When you break those down, it's well over $100,000. And so there's a level where, again, when this COVID thing is done, those companies that go, you know what, we're afraid of losing our people. We need to make sure that we're creating initiatives to keep them. If you look at the like McLean's top 50 companies, or you look at the Forbes kind of 100 companies to work for, they don't necessarily pay the highest, but they do things like allowing pets in the office, daycare for the staff, gyms that they can work out in, free coffee or tea, free pop.
Sorry, Joe, what's the not number one maybe, but one of the top reasons a candidate would accept a job offer? What do you think is the one thing that they really, truly look for that's a deciding factor for them?
Again, the number one reason why people leave a job is bad bosses.
Oh, yeah. And the number one reason people join companies
is
good
because
leadership?
It's a fresh energy. It's a level of, okay, I've proven I can produce the results here. But now, hopefully, there's an energy where it's not as, mundane. It's not the rat. Like, it's still going to be a rat race, but it's a rat race with a smile.
Yes.
I'll call it that.
And everyone working together for the greater good, right?
Again, I think it's more of a model where I know I can speak for myself. My family had a very hard time when I left jobs that made me physically ill and mentally ill, where no matter what I did, it was wrong. I worked for a company that was an experiential marketing firm that the turnover for the salespeople that you see that try to sell you credit cards at Canadian Tire, Superstore and stuff like that, was about 500%. For every one person that agreed to do this sales job, 5 quit or got fired daily. And every day I'd get reamed for my team not finding people fast enough. But the company didn't want to give me resources, didn't want to fly me to remote areas to walk the...
So they're setting you up for failure.
In part, right? So there's levels where, like, for example, and I'll use this, when I worked in private education in the colleges, I was working for a private college where at the time my father started his chemo. And when he first had treatment, he basically went to zero immune system and he got pneumonia. And he was rushed to the ICU, and I was working about 80 hours a week. And I walked into the owner, because I was the director of operations, and said, my father was just rushed to the hospital. I need to go now. And she looked at me and said, no, I think you're lying. I think you just want to get out of work. And I looked at her and go, I work here 80 hours a week. What are you talking about? Like, why do you think that my father is on his deathbed is my excuse to leave work early? She's like, I don't believe you. I'm not letting you go. And I looked at her, and forgive me because I'm about to swear. And I said,
it's okay. It's anything
I said, I have one father. I can find another fucking job. And I walked out. And I went to the hospital.
Good.
And the next day I came in, and I literally had a box ready to be fired. And she walked into my office and said, how's your dad? I said, he's stable. He's in ICU, but I'm going to go back to the hospital today at 5 after I'm done my day. And she looked at me, she goes, you weren't lying, were you? I go, are you kidding me?
Why would you be lying?
With pretty much that day, while at work, I started making sure that I have something else lined up, because financially I couldn't afford to just go right away.
Yeah.
And literally within 2 weeks, I had the offer letter signed. I was like, I don't even care about notice, and I walked out.
And you know what, Joe, I want to say something. I have so much to say about this, but I want to say one thing. And we always hear about how it takes a lifetime to earn trust and respect and a single second to break it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes literally one thing, one moment, one comment, one asinine whatever to just trigger and shut us down, right? Shut us down.
We're human.
We're human. But not only that, shame on that employer. You're not lying. Why would you make that up? And
of all excuses for me to leave work early when I'm working 80 hours a week.
Yeah, and you know what?
And here's the problem. And this is an extreme case, but for most people, like, they get passed up for a promotion.
Yeah.
And they don't go and say, can you give me feedback as to why? Can you explain to me? Because I know I was supposed to get this. Why did this person get it? Why did you bring someone external? Now, there might be factors in terms of the politics. There might be this, that if you are diligent to ask why and get some feedback, you can potentially understand why. Because there might be things that you're missing that you're so in your head that you don't see. There's an expression that says it's always easier to be the doctor than it is to be the patient.
Yes.
You can give relationship advice to everybody, but when you're in the relationship and you need the advice, it's a whole other conversation.
Right.
It's no different in a job. So when you're working at someone, like, yes, I write resumes. And the first thing I tell people when I write their resume is, if you ask 5 professionals, recruiters, HR professionals, what makes a good resume, you will probably get 20 opinions.
Oh, yeah.
Because
if not
this
more.
client is this way, this position is this way.
Exactly.
And so forth. So what happens, and I've had this with clients of mine, where I write them a wow resume that gets noticed, where they get interviews within a few days. And then they speak to HR in a company, and HR goes, I don't like this because I don't know this. I've never seen this.
Right.
And then they go back to the cookie cutter model, and then they get frustrated that they're not getting responses. I wrote your resume because I know how to beat the databases. The information on the resume is designed to make sure that your resume gets noticed. That's why I add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of color, a little bit of change.
And you're telling a story. You're telling a story.
So,
and I've also taken your advice, because I posted my resume on, I think it was Indeed, and every couple of days I go in and change a period and refresh and get it to the top again. And that seems to be working. I just wanted you to know. But listen, I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to keep things going.
That's what I'm saying. It's a model where there is a level where you need to understand that, yes, it is important to pay your bills. Yes, it is important to feel a sense of purpose, because for many people, the job is their identity. I'm not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But there's a level to go, okay, you've been here for, and a lot of people have this mindset, I have to work for 5 years before I make a change. If you go study business in university or college right now, the business professors tell you, work for a company for 3 to 5 years. Leave on good terms to see if the grass is greener on the other side. If it's not, come back a year later. You will get the promotion. You will get the increase in pay. You'll get more responsibility, because the company will realize, wow, you were a superstar. We were really hit when you left.
Well, let's hope they make that realization.
Most of the time, they will. Like I said, as long as you live in good terms.
Yeah.
So in that, and statistically, they say that the millennials, the Gen Ys, the Gen Z are expected to have as many as 14 jobs by the time they're 38.
Wow.
Right?
I had 5 in my entire career. That's pretty
right, good. But that we're not in the mindset of work for 35 years for the same company anymore.
Oh, I know.
So even if people are switching every 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, there's still a cycle of switching. There's still a cycle of renewed energy and freshness, or whatever you want to call it. So right now, this is an opportunity for people to kind of go, am I satisfied to the level that when I wake up on a Monday morning, I'm excited to go to work? Or am I waking going, oh my God, another day?
Oh, I know.
At least it pays my bills every 2 weeks. But this is where... if the reaction is, oh my God, but you enjoy the profession. Listen, my father was a civil engineer till the day he died. 45 years, loved the profession. Did he have bad bosses? Absolutely. Did he choose to sacrifice some of his own happiness for the sake of providing for the family? Yes, and I respect and admire him for that a great deal. But there's a level where even when I coach people and I say, listen, if you are a musician, for example, and you get a gig once a month that pays you $100,
right,
you're going to enjoy that $100 more than your entire salary. So if you have passions, even if it's on a small scale, do it.
Pursue
if you're going to be an entrepreneur, don't be scared of, oh my God, I need to be in a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 CEO. Do it on a part-time basis for the sake of your own happiness, for the sake of your own satisfaction. And
but you
then,
can find so many different things to do.
But that's what I'm saying. So like right now, I said before, Upworks.com, Fiverr.com.
I got to make a note, Upworks.com.
For you, there's Creative Niche, there's 99 Designs, there's freelance.com, elance.com, especially on the creative side. So there's resources and there's tons of Facebook, like work from home, do this kind of thing. People are joining the multi-level marketing businesses because it can create a little bit extra revenue, but you have to be passionate about it. You have to be engaged in what you do. And this is where, Ryan said this earlier, that there will be opportunities, because if you're around for 3 weeks and you're like, sitting at home going, oh my God, I really hate what I do, why not take advantage and kind of
maybe
go,
it's the time now for everybody has time to think
what
about
are my
it, right?
skill sets? What can I kind of leverage to go, I want to go here?
Yeah.
Because you're going to see that there's going to be a initial like downsizing in all industries because they were hit. Yeah. And then it might take 6 months, but in those 6 months, you're going to see a big shift of kind of rehiring, because business will continue. Life will continue.
So
humans will survive this. We've survived wars. We've survived famine. We've survived, much worse. And at the end of the day, the desire to live, the desire to stay strong, will outweigh, and hope will outweigh any fear.
So as we get into our final thoughts, I want to ask you, is that your prediction? Do you think, what are your thoughts? I want you to, these don't have to be your final thoughts, but you're talking to the viewers of people that are worried about where their next source of income is going to be, if they've got a job, if they can pay their bills, entrepreneurs, small business owners, even people with 9-to-5 jobs. What are you telling them? That again, it might be a little...
At the moment right now, with the advantage of the social media platform, you can go in and say, hey, I'm offering guitar lessons. Hey, I'm offering singing lessons. Hey, I'm offering drawing lessons. Because even if you draw in front of somebody, you can create it without knowing how to set up a webinar, without just literally, hey, I'm going live here. Who wants to do this? Send it out. Send an email to your friends. Send a text, whatever the case may be. Yeah. You can generate money by kind of going, okay, hey, I'm going to charge 10. I'm going to charge $20 for the sake of covering costs. You can use some of the resources I mentioned. Facebook has plenty of work from home opportunities. Yeah. Like stuffing envelopes and stuff. It's not the most fun job, but it's money. It's people that do Uber and do this again. If you know how to track when the peaks are and when this, you can make a few $100s in a few hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity.
And there's opportunities there. You go work for...
Sorry, Joe, especially now, a lot of restaurants, a lot of places are closed, but they're still open for takeout and delivery. So I'm assuming Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, all of those are probably in higher demand now, because you can't dine in, right? So there might be an opportunity there to do some of that.
But I'm saying there's a level where there's always availabilities, form joint partnership, form ventures with people that, okay, you have a skill set here, I have a skill set here. Let's make something out of it. It doesn't have to be the most grandiose idea of all. Yeah. But again, these ideas can generate income here or income there. There's a level where, again, depending on what you're willing to do, you can do grocery shopping for people. You can do this. I have a friend that, for example, him and his wife are very busy. So they hire somebody for about $200 a week to come in and cook for them. And she cooks meals and prepares meals for the weeks, puts it in the fridge, labels everything, and leaves.
Right.
And they pay her for her time, and they pay for the cost of the groceries.
Right.
She has a key to come into the house to do this. If you're a good cook, voila, here's a new business,
There you
or
go.
a baker.
Or people that don't have time to get or want to get into the grocery stores because it's a chore for them, or do errands, pick up cleaners, whatever the case may be.
And that's what I'm saying. There are avenues to create some income.
Yeah.
Might it be the same amount of income right away? Probably not.
Right.
But there's a level where if you are a little bit resourceful, you can find ways. There is a difference between like we request that you don't leave the house versus, like war style where you're in a bunker and you cannot leave.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So...
But with technology, we have resources.
Right, and
yeah,
times are changing so fast that there's things that can be done. There's partnership. There's this, like, you have a network. Okay, hey, if I introduce you to my network, can I get a kickback? Great. Yeah.
Lots of
like,
that.
there you go. Like, make money by introducing people.
A lot of people right now, though, are just uncertain. I think they're just uncertain. They're just taking a few days off. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to I've noticed that on social media, everything is just slowed right down. Things are not happening as quickly as they were. There was this flutter, and then all of a sudden but again, I think people are just also trying to stock up on food and toilet paper and just see how the outcome's going to be. But on that note, we are running out of time. But Joe, as always, fantastic evening with you. I want to do some housekeeping items, and then we'll want to get into your final thoughts. So guys, housekeeping items, anything goes, continues to be on unless we are told otherwise. We will be back here with my lovely co-host Mirella Scalise. Thursday night, we have a special treat for you, Thursday evening, and a special guest. So please stay tuned for that. We will be back next Tuesday with Jermelyn Barnes on Anything Goes to Business, and she's going to be talking about intimacy. She's going to be talking about relationships. She's going to be talking about how social distancing and COVID-19 is affecting relationships. I think it's really, really important that we have the conversation. And then, of course, next Thursday, we're back with Anything Goes, and we're going to continue having wonderful men on our series to just talk about stories and share. And we're going to just keep going. And, at the end of the day, we've got lots planned. We still do. We haven't moved it yet. An event on April 25th, the No Strings Attached Premier Business Event. We have not moved it. We have not changed anything. Right now, we're in a holding pattern. We want to deliver it for you guys. But of course, with all the mandates that are out there, we want to make sure that health and safety first. But we'll keep you guys posted. If we have to postpone, we do. If things are,
I suggest we do a Purell night event. There you go.
Oh, Purell. Yes. I'm
Gold mine.
I'm going to see if I can locate as many Purell bottles as possible. Okay. And make them available. Actually, I'll make them available for free. You guys can come and just listen to us speak and share a lot of great insights. So we'll keep you posted on that, you guys. So let's get to final thoughts. Joe, what are your thoughts for this evening?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to your network and say, hey, right now, lol, I'm thinking of making a change. Can you make an introduction here? Can you make an introduction there?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you need, I have lots of resources to help you with part-time jobs or kind of remote jobs. info@celebrategroup.ca, Celebrate Group on Facebook, Celebrate Group on LinkedIn. So there's very easy to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to respond. Again, I mentioned before, Fiverr.com, Upworks.com, starting points to create multiple gigs because you can have 10, 20 gigs there. I know 2 individuals that have made off Fiverr because they do like celebrity impersonation. One in particular has made $3.5 million doing celebrity only.
I got to start learning how to do celebrity impersonations
amongst other things. So at the end of things, there's resources to be successful. There's resources to kind of help you understand this is my strength, this is my knowledge, whether it's translation services, even reading to the elderly, even this, there's such a demand
reading
for
therapy even.
But anything that kind of like, it might not be, $100,000 a year, but it's something to subsidize the income.
Absolutely.
It's something to get you there. And again, this too shall pass. As going, I mean, whatever faith you believe in order for you to succeed, you have to go through difficulty because you appreciate success a lot more.
Yes.
So
Amen.
Humanity is being tested right now, and this too shall pass. And when it passes, those that understand the importance of collaboration, the importance of creativity, the importance of mental wellness will skyrocket. And you'll see that with businesses that start implementing ideas to make sure that
I agree.
That's
I
changing.
agree. And I like how you use that perspective, take a negative and turn it into a positive. So
Robert
Joe
just wrote he's willing to take associates on too.
Hey Robert, how are you? That's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says, I'm willing to take associates on. Robert and I had a wonderful conversation yesterday. Hope you're doing well, Robert. Thank you for that. We've got Philson watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Julia Scalise, I think she was watching earlier, but I see her back on. Thank you so much, baby girl. Hope you're doing good. With all that food I bought today, I think everybody's stocked up and ready to go. So Joe, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in, for all your wonderful insights. Oh, my pleasure. Before I forget, you were kind enough to send me a list of wonderful websites a whole while back, and I have no idea for the life of me where that list is. Can you send it to me again, please?
Yes.
It was worthwhile to list of things, and I wanted to check it out and do my
I would
research
suggest,
on it.
you know what, as a gift for anybody that's kind of struggling, I would like you to share this on the replay.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that, you know what, people have access to resources that don't have.
Absolutely. I will definitely add it on the thread. I'll definitely put it in the recap. Send me the list. It was a whole bunch of websites of things. I knew I was familiar with a few of them, but not all of them, of course. And I wanted to do my due diligence, check them out, see how I could leverage them. And I think they're a wonderful list. When the day that I came to speak to your students, you were kind enough to give them to me. And they're somewhere in my email, but send it to me again if you wouldn't mind.
Sounds good.
So guys, just before we wrap up tonight, and I've done my housekeeping items, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday night. My final thoughts is this, when we were celebrating New Year's Eve and going into the new year, everybody was talking about 2020 as the year of clarity, as the year of vision, right? I think we've got that clarity. I think we've got that vision. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, this year sucks. This year has started off. So yes, I mean, let's not mistake that there is a pandemic. It's serious. People are losing lives. People are getting sick. We have to be diligent. We have to be careful. We have to keep each other safe and healthy. But at the same time, but in addition to, things have slowed down. People are starting to bond again and check in with one another and pick up the phone and have Skype calls and Zoom calls and texting. And it's not always about work, trying to make money and this, that, and the other, and living on social media as a means to make, a living. All of us, and those are all good things, but all of a sudden people are, talking again. They are checking in with one another.
Concept.
Yeah, what a novel concept. They're doing things that perhaps they've been putting off for so long because there's never enough time because, we have to be on social media. We have to, deliver 12 events this year. We have to do this. We have to do that. All of a sudden, it's not so much about, the likes and the comments and the metrics and the followers, but it's a lot about existence and living and loving and checking in with one another. So my final thoughts tonight, as they are every single week, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, check in, stay calm, stay with a peace of mind that this too shall pass. Whatever and whoever you believe in, hugs, virtual hugs, prayers, lots of love, lots of support, and, check in on people. And there's a lot of people that are losing income, that are afraid, that don't know when their next sources of income. They can't even panic buy because they don't have the money to. They can't pay suppliers. They can't pay people. It's just a vicious cycle. And then when those people don't get paid, they can't pay their bills. All I'm asking is have some empathy, have some compassion. It'll all balance out. But for right now, nobody really knows.
And stop hoarding. Share.
Stop hoarding. Share. And let's all embrace kind of this uncertainty together. And everything will be okay. So sending you guys lots of love. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. We'll see you back here Thursday night with Julia and myself on Anything Goes. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Frequency 5. Happy birthday again, Dad. I can't hug you. That's okay. We're here.